Morning. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time to join us, Lou. I'm really, really grateful for your time. This was an interesting one when we've spoken about it before, because I think a lot of people's worry when they're investing in things for themselves, or they're even just starting a business, can be, how is this going to, you look like you're asleep, but I think it's your Wi-Fi. Are you there? There you go, you're back. Like, no, we're talking tax, we're going to sleep. But I think that, like, really importantly for people is to understand, like, how does this work? Because it can be really scary. So I wanted to share, because, morning, Julie, I think people's biggest thing is, like, they don't understand how it's going to work. So if we use the scenario, if somebody has a full-time job, let's say they're getting paid £2,000 a month, just for argument's sake, to keep the figures easy, and they're investing 2,397 in a coaching certification, right? How does this look for them? Like, how does that work in terms of kind of setting up a business or offsetting costs or this kind of thing? Like, we've got to break it down simple, because when you did it for me, it really helped.
Okay, yeah. So if they're earning, on average about £2,000 a month, so times 12, that's sort of 24,000 a year, and obviously they'll be paying 20% tax on anything over the personal allowance, which for most people is about 12,500. Okay. I don't want to get too deep into the numbers, but so basically, the price of the course is currently what, 2,397. Yeah. Okay. So they would then be able to offset that against their PAYE income and get their 20% tax back on it. So it'd be, an expense that they could offset. So even if they haven't got any income coming into their sole trader business at the moment, the side hustle or whatever, they could still offset the loss and the expenses they're incurring within getting the business set up against their PAYE income.
Okay, so let's really break this down then. So
No.
let's say somebody, like, they're not set up as a sole trader. Do they have to be set up as a sole trader to offset like their expenses?
Okay, so yes, in order to register for self-assessment, you would need to register for a UTR, a unique taxpayers reference number. Okay. So yes, you would register. That would then activate your self-assessment account. That then allows you to report to HMRC your business income and expenses and your PAYE. And you'd have to include your PAYE because you want to offset against that.
First thing to do would be to set up as a sole trader. Is this really simple to do?
Relatively, yes. It's getting easier. The website for HMRC is getting better. So you'd go on and you'd create what's called a government gateway account on HMRC, and you'd need some identification like your passport, driving license, and your P60, for example. And so, yes, it's relatively straightforward now, thankfully.
Okay. So they go on the HMRC website, they set themselves up as a sole trader there. As they set themselves up, they get a UTR, which is their unique tax reference.
Yeah.
Every year, when do the self-assessments go through?
Okay, so the tax year runs from the 6th of April. So for this year, the 6th of April 2024 to the 5th of April 2025. So for this current tax year, you would then need to file by the 31st of January 2026. Yeah. So there's, so it's kind of like a good 9-month period, 10-month period after the end of the tax year.
Perfect. And that form is really simple. I know you help people with that as well inside of like Entrepreneursity and inside of the curriculum. There's that, isn't there, about the self-assessment stuff?
Yeah, or I'm not sure it is yet, but it's coming. But it's
we can always do.
They can always give me a quick call.
Yeah. You've been so amazing with the student. Like, the feedback that I get all the time was like, oh my God. And I remember Heather, I think it was, the message was like, Emma, you don't understand. And Joe Perrott was like, Emma, I expected I had this much, like, and we're talking thousands and thousands in my account to pay for this. And Louise is like, no, Joe, it's like 1/10 of what she thought. She's like, I've never had this in my whole entire business life. She's like, this is amazing, because Louise is so on it with everything. Whereas, you know, when you're aligned with accountants that like, you're just like one of many, and although you have a massive business, it's a really personal thing for you.
Everybody's an individual, everybody's special because everybody's circumstance is different.
Yeah.
And you just need to take the time to understand, and then how you can best help them, because you know there's
you do amazingly well. Well, you do. Okay, so let's go into this when we're talking about like the expenses for this business. So you go onto the HMRC website, you set yourself up as a sole trader, you get this unique tax reference, and then that's like your account with HMRC set up. Now at this point, let's say this is, you know, your business, right? This is for your coaching business. Even though you're not earning money yet, you're incurring expenses because you're paying for a certification to become a coach. But it's not just the expense of the certification that they can actually put on that tax return, is it? So for example, let's just go through a few practical things that they can actually put on their expenses. So for example, to do their business, they're going to need some kind of device like a laptop or computer to log into the trainings, a phone, whatever. What does that look like, Lou, in terms of what they can?
Yeah, so they can obviously offset the cost of their laptop. Obviously, some people might have pre-owned it before they actually started their business, so you can allow a cost, you know, sort of a percentage or a cost of that depending on the age of it. You've just got to be fair and realistic with what you think your device is worth. Obviously, you've got your chair, you've got your desk, your printer, all your stationery we love to buy. Like a bit of colour and some highlighters, you know, there's loads of stuff. Obviously coffees and stuff, there's all sorts of expenses that you can offset, because this business takes time to build up. You know, you've got your mobile, you've got your internet, you've got a proportion of that you can claim, use of your home.
Okay, so I'm just writing these down. If I sat on your side of it, guys, I would be like writing these down and be like, okay, so this is going to go then onto just a Google sheet, and I'd be writing this on so that then when the self-assessment comes out, you just pop it on, you've got your receipts. So we've got the certification cost first, so that's 2397. We have a laptop, and let's say I don't know, say the value of your laptop right now, say you've had it a little bit of time, let's say it's worth 300 quid. So we'll put 300 quid on there. If you've got a desk that you've got in your office and you've got a receipt for that, then, you know, it's your office that you're working at to do your certification. So you can put your chair on it. Let's call it 100 quid from IKEA. Let's say your desk is 150 quid. Any stationery, I mean, this could go wild because I know what stationery. Let's say 100 quid for stationery. Let's not go too wild, my friends. Let's say, so with your mobile, for example, if how does that work? Because if they're just starting their business and, you know, maybe they're using it to log into, I guess, like Entrepreneursity and watch the trainings in there. So that would be something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you just have to be fair and reasonable. Obviously, if you've got the latest device or something, you can't obviously say your bill's £96 a month. You can't put through £96 a month. It's got to be reasonable and relative to what you're actually using it for. And you have to have given some little bit of thought as to how you've arrived at it. So whether it be £30, £40 you might claim from it, depending on how much you're using it. But it just has to, if you're questioned, it's fair and reasonable.
That makes sense. So if you said like £30 over 12 months, that's what, £360 that kind of tax year that you could claim against it. And then your internet for your house, again, it would just be a percentage of that, right?
A percentage, yeah.
I actually have no idea how much internet costs. Is that really bad? I literally have no idea. What is it? Do you know?
I've got Starlink. I pay £75 a month, but mine's dedicated for my business. I think the kids might be on a BT or something that's separate, but
so let's say if you did 30 quid per month.
30 quid, yeah. Normally about £30, yeah, I'd say.
So if you claim for 30,
because you're not going to include the television if you've got TV and stuff linked to it. You've just got to be fair as to what's the internet and how much you use it. And obviously, when you're growing a business, you're doing lots of Zooms and calls and all the rest of it. You are actually using it quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm going to answer that question. Well, I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to ask Louise. So let's say if we did £30 a month for internet, that's 360. When you talked about use of home, can you explain that for the guys?
Yeah, HMRC have a benchmark rate of £312 a year. So you can put that down on your tax return as a claim from home. I don't tend to get into utilities and all of that kind of thing unless you're actually using your home for something more specific, or you've got people coming there, or I don't know, you're actually using. But
let's say, for example, they did a month of like having case studies that they wanted to do face to face, which is part of the certification. We do like practices and stuff. Let's just say, for argument's sake, just so we cover it, you are having 10 people come to your home, 2 hours each. They're having a cup of coffee and stuff like that with all these bits. I mean, if they're going to use the loo, I'm definitely toilet roll.
You always get me on this one.
I know. I used to do that. I used to put my toilet roll through. I'm not even joking. I put like a box a month. I used to have parties at my house and everything. So I would put through that when I would, you know, buy like the food for the party and the, you know, like yesterday, for example, I had a mastermind day. All of those expenses are expenses within my business. So, you know, like the catering goes. I mean, I didn't check how many wees everybody had and the toilet roll. I mean, but like everything is an expense, and you have to, you know, if it's reasonable. And if somebody said to you, like, why are you claiming for toilet roll? I'm like, because I had like 50 people come through my house, and so I bought a box of 16, and like that's why. You could easily justify. I can't believe I'm talking about bog roll, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, we can be like, that is for your business. Let's say I was sending students gifts or like using gift wrap, everything would be an expense. If I was sending, say you had a new client as a coach, and you sent them a card to welcome them, like that £1.50, the stamp and everything, that is going through my business because it's a legitimate business expense.
Yeah, totally.
Sense to you.
Yeah. So as long as it's legitimate and it's reasonable, and you're taking a proportion, you're not just taking all of it, then it's absolutely fair to put it through the business because you've incurred that cost.
Okay, so I'm just adding this up, because if we do the 2397, then we do the expenses that we just ran through, then already before we start getting our first client and charging, this is without like anything else, no one turning up at your home. This is just you see your home because you're working in your home on your certification, for example. You'll be sat in your home when you do Zoom calls with your clients, and that's already £4,079. So what that actually allows for is, if you're already getting a salary, so if you're already PAYE, right, you're already getting paid a salary, you've got a job, they pay you £2,000 a month or what have you. When it comes to the self-assessment tax return, you would show that this is the amount that you've invested into your business, and this £4,079 would be offset. Okay, you explain that bit because I'm rubbish.
Correct, yeah. So you've got your 24,000 that we said before that you would have as your PAYE income, and then on your self-employed supplementary page, you would have the £4,079 as an offset, and in there's a box where you tick within that current year you can offset that £4,079.
So what we can do is we can take 24,000, which they plan on taxing you your 20% on. We can take off that £4,079, which then, instead of paying your tax based on 24,000, you'd be paying tax, the 20% based on 19,921. Now, in your salary, you would have already been taxed every month, right, and paid that tax. So that's how some of the students in Entrepreneursity, when they learned this, realized and got their first ever tax rebate. They're like, this is crazy. And a load of people on here will be like, hang on a minute, I've been taking accreditations for my business, I've been doing this for my business, and I never realized that actually if I set myself up and if I offset that against what I'm already paying, like in my job, I won't actually have to pay tax on that. That's crazy. Like, that's like a light bulb moment for a lot of people I know, because people are like, I just didn't know I could do that. I thought I had to be earning money in my business first.
Yeah, exactly. It's
okay. So that's great for anyone who is like, wants to set up that sole trader, like coaching business. So what about when they start earning money? So they get their first clients. When do they start paying? If they're a sole trader, when do they start kind of paying tax on that?
So you've obviously already registered, whereas if you had fewer expenses, then you might not choose to register until you actually turn over, till you actually invoice out £1,000. But for the example we're talking about, they're already registered. So if you have a PAYE income of 24,000, you're going to be paying tax more or less straight away, depending on if your expenses are higher or lower than your income, if
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me just ask a couple of questions here. So will my current employer need to know, as they currently don't know I'm in the process of setting up a business? Loretta, not in terms of tax, it's nothing to do with your employer. But I mean, sometimes, like when I was in the police, I had to put in a business interest request, for example, to let them know. So that's more to do with like your contract of employment with them. But in terms of tax, they don't need to know, right, Lou?
I do get asked this question quite a lot, actually, from various people, depending on the business. But no, they say, will my employer find out I'm doing this? And but will my tax code change is often a question that comes up, because obviously if you're offsetting your expenses and then HMRC go, oh well, we've given you tax back, so we'll let you earn another £4,000 every year before we tax you, or something silly like that. But generally when you're offsetting your sole trader losses, no, it's only when you claim expenses against your PAYE that they'll change your tax code, and that's when your employer would find out. But in this instance, I haven't had anything come up where the employer's found out, so no.
So, and Tina asks, so does that mean your personal allowance would be 12,500 plus any expenses you incurred as a sole trader? I don't understand.
Effectively, yeah. Effectively, yes. I see where she's coming from, which is what I just said. Yeah, effectively, your 12,570, which is the standard. So if people are on the standard, then yes, it would give you basically a tax-free allowance of 17,000.
Got you. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Rather than taking it off the 24, you can look at it in two different ways.
Mm-hmm. If I have Carolyn asked, if I have a full-time job in which I pay tax, would this be affected if I was a director of a company and took a fixed fee as a shareholder?
Oh, that's getting complicated. Happy to have a chat with you about that, no problem. But it depends whether you're in the 40% tax bracket, because obviously the ones we're talking about at the moment are in the 20%. Yeah. So it just depends on your dividends as a shareholder.
A lot of people ask, why don't they, Lou? Like when we've done this before, a lot of people ask, would I set up a limited company, or like I've got other businesses? And you often say like this is very specific to each person. Do you want to just give us a little overview?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. When it comes to finances, people think there may be the same, but actually they might not, because they might be claiming benefits. They might be, so that lady there was a director, she might be on the 40% tax bracket. You might have some shares, you might all sorts of things. More than happy to have a free chat with you. I'm just to give you some advice as to the best way to structure it. But when it comes to limited company, typically if you are over the 40% tax bracket, it may be beneficial to set up a limited company, but it depends when you're expecting to start to invoice and earn fees through your new business, as to whether you'd actually say sole trader and claim the 40% tax back rather than go straight into limited. It just depends what your plan is and when you're expecting the income to come in and what time of the tax year it is. It gets a little bit more for tax planning. It just it does. It's about being clever and maximising the tax laws available to you.
Yeah, efficiently, not evasion.
No, efficiently, absolutely. Yeah.
Let me see if there's any more questions. I think we've broken that down pretty simply. Can you think of anything else that's really important for them to know?
No, not at this stage. I just need to keep it super simple. Keep your box, keep all your receipts of any physical receipts or a folder on your hard drive on your computer. Just keep everything together if you're challenged, and also for your own organisation. So, I speak to a lot of people and it's like, oh, I don't want the husband to know what I've spent, kind of thing. Yeah, because we all spend, more than maybe we want the other half to know. especially when we're setting up a business, because you've got the naysayers that go, oh my God, you spent that. But I say to them, go through your credit card, go through your bank statements and see what you've actually spent. Let me know, and then we can offset it. So in this instance, you actually want to maximize your expenses, rather than shy away from them going, oh, I didn't really spend that. Oh my God, it hasn't really cost me that much. Because at the end of the day, the money's gone, you've already spent it. So you want to get back as much of it as you possibly can.
I say that to the, you know, the people who join Entrepreneursity on the monthly, I say that to them, like, you know, that monthly like subscription, that should be offset.
Absolutely.
All the people that came to my mastermind yesterday, they should be tracking miles in their car,
mileage,
mileage or petrol, keeping your receipts. If you bought a cup of coffee and a sandwich on the way here, you know, keep those receipts. If on the way home you did, you know, keep those receipts, everything. And this is what's in Louise's curriculum inside of Entrepreneursity. It's about doing your account simply, which is literally, Louise teaches to get a shoebox, the shoebox technique, get a shoebox. Every receipt you can do, you don't have to, you can do it digitally, you can screenshot it on your phone, you can do it all like that. But to literally just keep everything in one place. So when you, maybe you, you know, you print off your receipt every month, it goes into your shoebox. If you have a Google sheet set up or an Excel spreadsheet, however you want to do it, and just list everything on there. So, you know, the certification price, right? If you've signed up for the certification, the laptop, the chair, the desk, the stationery, the mobile, the internet, use of your home, that can be all documented on there. Any coffees, any mileage, just put it on there, just list it down. Once it's listed down, it's very simple. Then you just find the evidence of that, the ones that you can, and that is what goes into your self-assessment. When you're doing it in that way, it means that then you don't have to go, you know, 12 months time. Let's say you're going to do the certification program super slowly, take your time with it, no problem at all, you pace yourself. You get to the end of 12 months and you're like, what did she say about claiming? You know, it's much better to do it right now, to start your spreadsheet right now, just like my coaching business, right? Google Sheet, list all those things down and then keep track in that way. Much, much better to do that, isn't it, than to have to go back and be like, what have I spent? We're aware of it.
Yeah, it only takes a couple of seconds to do it, but it just get into a good habit of doing it, because there's nothing worse than sitting down at the end of the year. You're like, oh my God, I've got to sit down. It's awful. Yeah.
It's just, I think it's always having it as well in the forefront of mind. Like you pop to Sainsbury's, you go in Sainsbury's, maybe you buy something for your office or you buy some stationery, even though the receipt's got all your food stuff on as well. I just highlight the stuff for my business, just add it up, put it on my spreadsheet, and I've got that receipt, put it in my shoebox, and that's it. I'm good to go.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just best practice. It really is, because otherwise you also, when you do it once a year or something, or less frequently, you forget. We all forget. And then you think, oh, what was I going there for? So yeah, just do it regularly.
Yeah, if you buy an event ticket, let's say, I mean, we haven't got any plan, but let's say we do a live event for Entrepreneursity, let's say the Christmas party event. For the people who are coming up to our meetup, we've got a meetup for students only, but it's a meetup in July. We're just going on a night out in Cardiff. You know, that is a networking event, because we're going to be networking there. You'll have your train ticket, maybe your hotel if you're staying over, maybe the drinks that you buy on the night. That can all be offset against your business, can't it? Legitimately, that's a fair and reasonable expenses for your business. But, you know, don't get too drunk and don't not get a receipt, because you're like, 4 espresso martinis, is she joking? Yeah, there's a lot of, Tia was saying, like, One Tap Receipts app is good to use to keep track of receipts. Absolutely, there's loads of free apps and things that you can use that can do that. And Charlie asks, I'm over the 40% tax bracket and have a limited company set up. Be great to chat if possible too. I'm definitely not clever with this. We need to be clever.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about being smart. Yeah.
For those, I know Charlie's already inside of Entrepreneursity now, so they can reach out to you there. Where's the best place to contact you, Lou?
Email or mobile.
Okay.
Yeah. Entrepreneursity they can, but I don't get the messages too well. Okay. They don't always come through. So, but yeah,
Facebook Messenger, not your thing?
Oh, Facebook.
Not
Oh,
your
yeah,
thing.
Facebook Messenger. Yeah, Facebook Messenger. Yeah, that's probably easiest because they can just find me. Yeah, no problem.
So let me just, I'll tag.
And I've got into the habit of checking that other bit when we're not friends, because you know I'm not very good.
Yeah. Okay,
Not with socials.
I'm just tagging Louise in this. I don't think you're in the Fast Track to Freedom group, but I've tagged you in it, so they should be able to find, I think, your profile from there. If not, let me just go on and do that. So otherwise I might forget afterwards. So they can reach out to you and request you as a friend, and then it's just really simple for them to get the information that they need.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay. I want to do it as I go on the bounce. There we go. I put Louise's link in there for her Facebook profile now. Helen says, how far can we go back? I'm only just starting to coach, but I've been investing in training for the past 2 years. That's a great question.
Absolutely fine. I actually read something, I was on a forum yesterday. 7 years. They quoted a whole tax thing and everything else. 7 years you can go back, apparently. Whereas for VAT and things, it's normally 4, but yeah, 7 years. I'm thinking, God, what would you have done 7 years ago? That, you know, because obviously you need to have a bit of a business case in the memory to think, God, I paid for that 7 years ago.
Yeah, if you've been buying sort of like courses or you've been part of membership
Yeah.
the last few years, like absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of the journey, isn't it? It's brought you to where you are today. You're thinking, God, 7 years, that's a huge amount of time.
Yeah, yeah. Helen's like, she's like getting all this like debit statements and credit card statements. She's like, hang on a minute, I know I bought a course, I know I bought this, I know I bought that. Another question, can you advise on Airbnb business? I'm starting up and I'd like a chat, I think I said that. Airbnb.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had my own Airbnbs, got lots of Airbnb clients. Yeah, fantastic. No, more than happy to have a chat with you about that.
Perfect. So I put a link, Sean, in the thing above. You can absolutely, this is the benefit of having Louise inside of Entrepreneursity as our expert, because you can ask anything, you know, like you can't keep ringing, you can't, I mean, I know you're very kind and you're offering and you're saying like, you can ask me, you know, any advice, but I mean, like every month you can't ring up an accountant that you're not actually paying for their service, which your services are so cheap, because, you know, when you told me about it, I was like, that can't be true, Lou. Like, you can't charge your clients that. She's like, I do. What's like, because your lowest package, like for kind of small business owners, what is that for you?
Yeah, so if you're doing I'm just thinking of somebody I've done recently with Entrepreneursity, and I think she got back about 1,400, something like that. But anyway, she's full-time PAYE and is starting her side business. So we did a tax return, and that for her was £75 plus the VAT, because it was nice and straightforward. She'd filled in the spreadsheet that we'd given her with all the expenses, and it's easy for us to do then. Yeah, no problem. And I can give her the advice, have a chat with her and tell her what she needs to do kind of going forward, and yeah.
So it was 75 quid plus VAT for you to do her return for her?
Yeah. Because she's provided me with all the information. I mean, my normal tax returns, like for my CIS guys, are 260 plus VAT, because all they give me is a whole load of it's a bit more of a nightmare. But if everything's nice and organized,
if you keep that like Google sheet or Excel spreadsheet, it's so easy for you then to do the tax return for people. So despite you're like, yeah, amazing. Okay. And you have like monthly subscription things in your accountancy business, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah, depending on your turnover or where you are, kind of thing. Yeah, we can go through those.
And the lowest one of that is
£18 a month plus the VAT. Yeah.
That was what I was like, what? £18 a month plus VAT for an accountant? I'm like, sure, Lou. She's like, yeah, because small businesses, like, they need the help when they get started, and then you travel with them through their business growth.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't go up wildly. Like, your most expensive one is what? She's paused. Hold on, she'll come back now. She lives in the countryside. She's an accountant with farms. Hold on. Let's see if she comes back.
I wasn't sure if you had frozen on me, sorry. Yeah, obviously once you start going to VAT limited companies, then yes, it becomes a little bit more expensive because we've got more compliance work to do. But to actually do the work, we know what we're doing. We're slick. We're good. What we do, it's getting through the numbers. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Tina said, "Oh my God, I pay £80 a month." And I know, like on Tina's business, she would be your first level kind of like client as well. So yes,
£80. Wow.
but that's what I thought was like completely. I'm like, I thought it was cheap. I bet Tina thought she was getting a bargain. She's like, oh, that's good. I'm like, until I spoke to Louise, and then because actually Louise became my coaching client first for her business, and then I realized how ethical and how fair she was and what service she provided, because I got right into your business with you, didn't I, Lou?
Yeah.
And I was like, Louise, do you want to, I know you're super busy with your business, would you want to be our expert in Entrepreneursity? Because I don't think you realize like how much we as business owners are paying, how much we don't know that we can claim back, how much like this is actually crazy. So yeah, I mean, that's how you became the expert, right? Because I'm like, what you deliver, and I'm all about delivery and value, what you deliver is crazy for your clients. And of course, when you're an account, you don't know what other people are doing, but I'm telling you, I'm like, no, this is not what we're experiencing from the people that we're working with. So Tina's going to be very happy today. Sean's very happy. Helen's like ecstatic, and she's looking at 7 years ago. She's like, 7 years ago, what was the year? I know.
Yeah, I'm always there to help people. I'm just not as visual or as active on social media, perhaps because I'm just a bit busy. But I've always got time for people.
You are wonderful with people, and we're really grateful for that, Lou. And the reason why she's not as active on social media, because she has a massive accountancy business, which is why I think the service that you give at any level for your clients is unreal. You just don't see it today. You run your business like they did years ago. It's based on relationships, and I really value that. Also, you have kids, and you homeschool, and your kids have got challenges like mine. So I personally don't know how you do it all, but I think that makes you, number one, relatable, and number two, really empathetic to you understand, like when people are running accounts around lives and things like that, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we all have busy lives, we all have challenges. We just have to do the best we can, can't we?
Exactly. And Tina makes a good point. And your accountancy fees, so if someone was paying you £18 a month for you to take care, they'll do the spreadsheet, you take care of it all. They're also tax deductible. So they put that on the spreadsheet.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
If they forget, I will, don't worry.
You're like, I've got the receipts.
Because obviously they give me their spreadsheet, and then obviously I go through it and I go, actually, let's have a chat, because there's bits here I think you've missed off. I think there's, and I sort of prompt them and sort of say, did this, did that, and
you did that with Jo. So I remember Jo Perrott had bought a vehicle, hadn't she? Just like training dogs, and she had bought a vehicle, and she was told, like, you can't claim that against the business, you can't claim that about you, and it's a lot of money, right? Like a lot of money. And you're like, what do you use it for? And she's like, well, for taking the dogs out and training the dogs. And you're like, it's a business expense. So
it was a van. Yeah, it was a van.
That's thousands and thousands that she had the advice, like, no, you can't claim that. And you were like, absolutely you can.
Yeah, people don't care. They don't take the time so much these days, and they just, if it's not in front of them, they don't ask the questions, do they? No, that's what I find, and I just think you're just doing a disservice.
Yeah, and that's why I think these sessions, and I'll be really honest with you guys, as I always bloody am, but I actually got a bad review, and we don't get bad reviews for Entrepreneursity. Someone said when they left, I was really disappointed to see there was no help with accounts and the kind of logistical side. And your first instance, when you put so much care and attention into helping people, my first thing was, oh my God, how rude, like, there's so much value. But, when the ego went away, and we all have it, when you care about something so much, you're like, but I give so much. And that she's actually got a really valid point, and this is constructive criticism, and actually she's absolutely right, and I'm going to take care of that. And that's when I was like, okay, we need to fix this. And that's when we introduced Louise into Entrepreneursity, and I really feel like it was the best thing we ever did. The reviews that we get back, even this now, lots of the people who watch this, I'm also going to send out a replay of this on my emails, because I just think nobody knows this stuff, nobody shares this stuff, really honestly breaks it down, like laptop, desk, table, chair, toilet roll. I'm not going to mention toilet roll. All of this stuff nobody knows, and then they don't understand how it's actually offset and how that benefits them. And so, you know, investing in yourself is much less scary, but also they can look back 7 years and be like, okay, what? This is nuts. So I think it's really valuable information. Helen said, this is so helpful. Lack of knowledge in this subject has been the reason I've been holding back and setting myself up properly. I'm so grateful. Yeah. Just because you know it all, Lou, you don't realize that we know nothing. We know nothing. Like, we have no idea. That's what I got to break it down to simply. So thank you for spending the time with us today. I've dropped Lou's link in there for you guys so you can have a watch. Really stopped me getting started, Tina said, but after a chat with an accountant, they made it sound so easy, took care of everything. Before we recommended everyone reaches out to Lou, so I can tell you it gives you so much more headspace to focus on the parts of the business that you do like. Yeah, absolutely. Tax doesn't have to be taxing. I don't even know like who that is, but I'm like, oh, so true. It can actually be rewarding. So you've got to know that. And Des said, like, I wouldn't have had a clue where to start because I haven't built a business yet. So this is really valuable information. So thank you. Thank you very much, Lou. I really appreciate your time. Again, you can reach out to Lou, absolutely. And any questions, stick them underneath this video. And if you're watching on the replay, and we can certainly answer those for you. And if you're watching this through a replay of email, feel free to email us and we'll put you in touch with Lou as well.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.